leading experts in trails development are gathered here inside the stable at the DeBary Hall Historic Site. Let's go check it out.
Volusia County's 67 miles of trails are one of the best investments we've ever made in economic development. Now let that sink in for a second, because you're not in the wrong place. This is not an economic development summit, but it is.
The 2022 Florida Trails Summit encompasses presentations, speeches, videos, panel discussions, 2 group bike rides, and camaraderie among trails enthusiasts from near and far.
And as we built trails, we've learned a lot. And if you track your expenses, then whenever you're building another mile of trail, and you have residents to say, we really can't afford the maintenance of the trail, you have some good data to perform and to provide to your policymakers. So then they're able to make some decisions, and when we're developing a trail, to try to minimize our costs on the back end by designing and constructing it right on the front end.
2, 1, trails!
Typically, the front end costs I have grants for, or Sun Trail monies for, or I have a LAP fund or TAP fund to help build those trails. But then on the back side of that, all of that is general fund. So we try to minimize those costs by designing it right on the front end.
The summit was sponsored by the Florida Department of Transportation and the Florida Greenways and Trails Foundation. The Florida Department of Transportation Secretary, Jared Perdue, was the keynote speaker of the event.
As we look to the future, it's going to be really important for us to really strategically focus on continuing to grow, to cultivate, and invest in communities. Communities are really the heart and soul of everything that we do, and every transportation mode that we invest in helps us build on the unique aspects and the unique character of every community in Florida. And finding ways to continue connecting people and providing those choices helps those communities continue to grow and prosper.
So the transect is a way to think about the different land use conditions that we deal with, and they run from the most urban condition, the T5, kind of the urban center, across the spectrum to the most rural conditions. And it is fantastic to have rural conditions where you can thread a trail through a publicly owned property that's designed for recreational purposes. That is a really great experience, and I love to do that. It is really difficult to try to figure out how to get a trail segment through the built environment, and that's the challenge that we have for the most part.
Volusia County trails include a number of different trail sections connecting Volusia County to many areas within and outside of our county. The Spring to Spring Trail connects De Leon Springs State Park to Gemini Springs. The East Coast Florida Rail Trail connects West Volusia to East Volusia and also our neighbors in Brevard County. And the St. Johns River to Sea Loop connects Putnam, Brevard, Flagler, and St. Johns counties to Volusia County.
Because in those 67 miles, you will cycle through some of the most important parts of Florida, not just because they're safe, but because they're absolutely beautiful and they deserve to be protected. And we need a broad audience to help us do that. Our wildlife corridor here in Volusia County is central between the South Florida and Georgia. We have to be good stewards of those wildlife areas, not just because it's a great place to cycle, but because we have to be stewards of the wildlife whose homes shrink every day, whose territories shrink. We have to be good stewards so that they can safely travel from place to place.
Volusia County continues to set the standard for paved trails here in the state of Florida. I'm Heather with Volusia County Community Information.